Welcome to KendoReact, a course to help you get started using the KendoReact set of components and features in your own applications. My name is Alex Iskind, and I've been training developers like you in modern web technologies for a few years now, and I'll be taking you on this journey today. In this course, we'll take the approach of putting you in the shoes of an engineer that's adding new features to an existing application for a fictitious client, RPS. You've previously developed this application, which is called RPS Project Tracker. It's an issue tracking system that's web-based, and now your client wants you to add some more features and updates. Throughout this course, we'll incorporate features and components from the KendoReact library into an existing React application. You'll be doing some exercises in this course, so make sure you download the codebase to help you get started. We'll look at the before and after states of the application so you can see the goal of what each exercise is trying to accomplish. And we'll start off by adding basic KendoReact components to the application. You'll see how to harness the power of KendoReact in a matter of minutes. This will show you how to install buttons, drop-down sliders, inputs, and more. And we'll get into more advanced components like the chart and the grid. Now, components don't live in isolation, and it's important to know how they interact with each other. So we'll see how to incorporate KendoReact components to interact with existing functionality and with each other. Finally, we'll see how to change the themes of all the components all at once. We'll also build out our own theme, and we'll see some other styling options available with Kendo. By the end of this course, you'll know how to navigate the KendoReact documentation, how to install components, and how to incorporate components into your own React applications. Thanks for joining me. Now let's get started with the course. KendoReact is a library designed to offer a full breadth of UI components and give developers everything they may need in a single toolkit. And at the same time, KendoReact can be used to augment an existing UI stack since it plays well with others and integrates to modern design languages like material design, for example, without the need to rip out and replace existing infrastructure. KendoReact is also designed to be modular. As you'll see in this course, you can install and use only the components that you need in order to keep your code base as light as possible. Installation of components, component groups, and other related Kendo features is done via NPM packages using a familiar workflow. Just briefly, there are 3 other huge benefits to know about Kendo. It's backed by a team of developers with unlimited professional support, there are frequent updates to the library, and documentation is pretty extensive, as you'll see. Let's quickly review what's required for this course. In this lesson, we'll see how KendoReact fits right into modern frameworks like Next.js and Astro. No compromises, just drop-in compatibility. Next.js comes with routing, SSR, and React server components built right in. As of KendoReact 7, every component is fully compatible. Just run create next app, enable the app router, install a KendoReact package, and import the component. Or you can use the Kendo CLI to scaffold a full project with your theme and setup that's ready to go. Older components still work. Just wrap them in a client component if they rely on hooks or listeners. And remember, free components work out of the box. Premium ones need a license key. Check out the license key lesson to see how to set one up. Now, Astro focuses on minimal client JavaScript. After creating your Astro project and adding the React integration, you can install any KendoReact package and start using components right away. Or use KendoReact Create Astro to generate a full setup instantly, complete with a theme sample grid. KendoReact works the same in Astro as in any React app, thanks to on-demand hydration. You get the same behavior without extra JavaScript. Just add a theme, launch the dev server, and you're ready. So whether you're using Next.js for dynamic apps or Astro for ultra-light sites, KendoReact fits in seamlessly. Same APIs, same performance, and no friction. KendoReact Free is a subset of the full KendoReact library. It gives you access to a bunch of components, over 50 at the time of this recording, that are fully functional and production ready. These are the same components you'll get in the full version, just limited to a specific set. And it's not a trial. You can use them in your projects with no time limit, and they're updated along with the rest of the library. Now, there's a distinction between KendoReact Free and the full KendoReact library. With the full version, you get access to all the components, things like the scheduler, the editor, and more advanced grid features, and so on. You also get access to technical support, source code, and premium features. We'll actually be using a combination of these components throughout the course, including free components. Some components are split, where the basic version is free, but the more advanced functionality requires a paid license. A good example of that is the grid. You can use it in basic scenarios out of the box, but if you want to enable server-side paging or virtualization, for example, that's part of the full package. If you try to use one of the paid features without a license, it'll show up, but with a watermark that tells you that it's part of the paid set. Alongside the components, KendoReact Free also includes a bunch of helpful resources, like the built-in themes, a Figma kit, sample apps, a page template, and even a Visual Studio extension that makes working with the library easier. We'll touch on a few of these throughout the course. And finally, if you start with a free set and you realize you need more, the upgrade process is simple. You don't need to rewrite anything. Just apply your license and you're good to go. You can get started quickly with the free components and expand as needed depending on your project. This is a beginner level course for those that are getting introduced to the KendoReact library. However, it's aimed at those developers who already know React. Therefore, it's required that you already know React concepts before jumping into this course. This means understanding how React components are built, how they interact with each other, and how the component lifecycle methods work. We'll also use TypeScript with React in this course. So while it's not strictly necessary for you to know TypeScript, it's becoming more prevalent in the enterprise and in large applications in general to use TypeScript with React, so I highly recommend getting familiar with it. We'll take a brief look at how to scaffold out a new React app using Vite for those that are not familiar with the process, as well as how to scaffold out a React app using Kendo tooling for those that are starting from scratch and for those that are working with an existing application. You don't need any prior KendoReact experience or knowledge. We'll cover all that you need in this course. Now, while I will use Visual Studio Code for all the demos in this course, feel free to use any editor that you like. However, I highly recommend VS Code as it has very good TypeScript support and the ability to install React extensions that make your React development experience an easier one. That said, using VS Code is not required for KendoReact. Let's have a look at the sample application that has all the Kendo components in place to get an idea of the finished product and what we're going to be building. Before we start coding, let's take a quick look at what we're building. This is the Project Tracker app. On the dashboard page, we can see active issues and some quick stats about all the issues in the system. At the top, there's a time range filter, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. At the bottom, there's a chart showing open versus closed items. All of the filters work together to update the chart. We'll be building all of this during the course. Next, we have the backlog page, and this shows a grid of all the issues. You can filter by things like My Items, or Open Items, or Closed Items. The grid supports pagination and filtering, which I'll show you how to set up. You can also add a new issue here by clicking a button and filling out the new item form. All these are KendoReact components. I can also edit an existing item's details, change the type of issue, set the status, give it an estimate, assign a priority, and pick who's working on it. There's even a tabbed interface to manage tasks. You can add tasks, rename them, mark them as complete, or delete them. And finally, there's a comment section called Chit Chat where you can leave notes or updates. And that's a quick tour of the app we'll be building together.